Okay, so we have a broad and ambitious goal, which we may not hit. And then we have a smaller goal, which I think we will hit. Okay, the broader goal is, can we understand from the Rambam's Shita on dreams? Can we get any insight into the Rambam's Shita on the case of someone who gets Nidui in a dream? Okay, so that's the broad goal. I don't know if we're going to succeed. I do have, after we go through this, I do have a bad sevara. And it's a bad sevara. It's not me saying like, oh, it's bad sevara. Like, no, it's a bad sevara that I want to model as a model bad sevara. Okay. Because I think it's a good example of a bad sevara. Okay. And I think that's important for like development. Okay. And then the narrow question is, we saw in the Makbili, no, maybe we didn't see in the Makbili. Maybe someone quoted that a nevuah is 1/60th, or a dream is 1/60th of nevuah. Someone said that, yeah, right. So we are going to see the Rambam's explanation of that, which I think is really, really a beautiful explanation. Okay, all right. But first, let's start off with the Rambam. Yeah.
Are all the stuff that you have tabs on stuff you right now?
Yeah. That I don't need. Yeah, only new stuff. Thanks. Okay, so quick review of the sixth of the Ikarim, okay? Because the Ram in the Moreh Nevuchim that we're going to do is on nevuah, and I think you need to see this statement of the Rambam in order to understand the thing in the Moreh Nevuchim. So it's the Yesod Hashishi, right column on the bottom. Yesod Hashishi HaNevuah. So the sixth Yesod is prophecy. V'hu, and this is l'da'as, to know, shezeh hamin ha'enushi, this human species, Yish shimtzu bo ishim bale kishronos mifutachim ma'od ushlemus gedola, that you will find certain members of the certain individuals who possess highly developed kishronos, like perfections or what's another word for kishronos? Perfections is pretty good. Faculties. Okay, that are very developed, ushlemus gedola, and are very perfected. Okay, the tis konin nafsham, and their souls have been prepared ad shemakabelas tzuras haseichel, to receive the form of the intellect. We're gonna dodge all the Aristotelian stuff because I am not holding in active intellect stuff right now. I mean, I have like a very, very marginal understanding, but we'll avoid that as much as we can. Okay. The Schaber also, he's going to say that now. The Schaber also haseichel ha'enushi b'seichel ha'poal. Okay. And the human intellect with of these people will conjoin with the active intellect. Okay. The ye'etzal alehem mimenu atzilus shefa, and it, meaning the active intellect, will overflow its influence upon the human intellect. The Elohim Nevi'im, these are the Nevi'im. Okay. The Zohi HaNevuah, and that is nevuah, v'zeh hu inyana. That's what its idea is. So the explanation of this foundation in its perfection, perfectly, would be very long. Our goal is not in explaining each of these yisodos to give all the details, and to prove, like, to explain how it's known. That would require all knowledge. We're just going to like inform you about them. And the Torah testifies to this. So I don't know if you can get this from the Rambam, but the Rambam here has like there's a chiddush. I don't want to call it a chiddush because it's not like the Rambam's the first one to say this, but there is the Rambam is saying this to exclude another view of nevuah. So what was that? That's my question. Yeah.
I just assume it's the Pashut one.
Which is?
Like, is it just sort of, is it that Hashem chooses
the
nevuah to?
Exactly. Okay, right. So Rambam's view is that nevuah is a natural perfection of that is attainable by a human being. Whereas there are other views in nevuah where it's like God chooses who to give it to. Okay. And there are nafkaminas. One of the more well-known ones, I think, is that the Rambam, I think somewhere, I don't know where he says this, but I think he says somewhere that if a Navi gets to this level of perfection, it's impossible that he wouldn't get nevuah unless God blocks it. Okay, meaning it's just like a natural level of perfection that when you get to, then you get the overflow. You don't have to say what?
I don't know if it's more like that someone who doesn't in this way and get more of that.
Right.
Not
Yeah, I don't think you can infer that from this Rama. Right. So it depends on what you mean by, or what the Rama means by your intellect joins with the seichel hapoal and it spills over into your intellect. I think it would be more apparent when we read the more nevuchim, but I don't. You're right. I don't think there's enough here to infer that. But factually speaking, yeah, that's what the Rama is saying. And then the other big nafkamina is like, could you have someone who gets nevuah and is not roy for nevuah? So the Rama holds no, right? Seemingly, okay.
Yeah.
All right. So that's nevuah. The other preface we need here is what the Rama means by the imaginative faculty. Okay. So this is in Shmona Prakim on same volume but page Reish Mem Ches. Vayikach Romach Biado. Okay, so this is in the first parak of the Shemot Prakim where he's going through the faculties of the soul, and we're not going to read through all the faculties. We're just going to read through the two of them. So on the left column of Reish Mem Ches, where there's a paragraph that begins with the Echzor Linyaninu. Yeah, actually, we'll just read this this whole paragraph here, or this starting from the beginning. I mean, the Echzor Linyaninu. We're going to return to our topic, the Chelki HaNefesh, regarding the components of the soul of Omer. We'll say, HaChelek Hazan. So the nutritive faculty of the soul is Mimeno Koch HaMoshech v'HaMachzik v'HaMa'achel v'HaPoled es HaUdfim v'HaMagadel v'HaMolid b'domeh. V'hamavdil es halechus ad shemafrish es hatzarech lizon bo v'hatzarech lipaled v'hadvarim al shivas hakokos ha'elun uvamei yipolim v'heach polim v'veze evarim pulas amiyos niglas of nikeres ma mehem matzui tamid uma mehem poel b'zman mesuyam harkol zen nachos l'melechas arufua v'im bo tzarech b'makom zeh. Okay, fine. So that's the nutritive part of the soul. We don't really care about that for our purposes. Part of you that like metabolizes and does all that stuff with stuff that you eat. Okay, now these next two halakim are the ones we're interested in. Margish, the sensory faculty, mimenu chameshes hakochos hamufuramos. So of them are the five faculties that are well known etil hamon to the masses. Harus v'hashema v'hatam v'hareach v'hamishush. Sight, hearing, taste, smell, and touch. V'hu matzui b'chol shetach haguf. And these are touch is the because he's going through what the organs of these senses are. So he's saying the organ of the sense of touch is the entire body. And it doesn't have a specific limb like the other ones, right? And I think we said earlier this year or last year that like we now know that there are more than five senses, but back then there was still an idea of five, right? All right, fine. So that's the senses. Okay, then we get to our chelak. The imaginative faculty. Hu hakoach hazocher rashme hamuchashos. So this is the faculty by which you remember the sense impressions after, I'm going to add in the word, the stimulus has been removed from your senses. Okay, so you remember the sense impressions, umarkivam zebazeh, and you combine them with each other, umavdilam zemizen, and separate them from each other. Ulfikach. And therefore, markiv hakoach hazemin hadavarim shehisig davarim shelo hisigam me'olam. Therefore, you can use this faculty to make composites of things which never existed. The efshar lahasigam, and which is impossible to actually like apprehend with your senses. Kamosha madame ha'adam anias barzo ratza ba'avir, like imagining a ship floating in the air. Yeah, and I'm going to say the thing that Rav Pesach always says this. Rav Pesach always says, don't laugh at the Rambam because you think he's saying it's impossible to imagine a flying machine. That's not what the Rambam is saying. He's saying it's floating in the water, but on the air. The Rambam is not saying that a flying machine is impossible.
It feels like it's just like there's nothing against the Rambam here. It's with history as irony.
Yeah, but Rav Pesach is trying to to exclude that. Okay. O min adam rosha b'shamayim v'raglav ha'aretz, or a species of man whose head is in the sky and whose feet are on the earth. Ubal chai be'elef einayim l'mashal, or a 1,000-eyed creature, for example. V'harbe min hanimnaos halalu, and many of these impossible things. Markiv hakoch madame umamtsiam. The imaginative faculty can markiv them, can constitute them and produce them b'dimayon, in the imagination. V'kan ta'u kat hamadabrim hataos hamuzara hagadola. This is what the madabrim, those are the metukalimun, the Arabic kalam philosophers. This is where they made a huge and strange error, he says, Taus Hamuzara Gedola, Asher Allah Bani Yisod Hatayosehem, which they built their as the foundation of their erroneous ways. Basically, they mixed up the three categories of the necessary, the possible, and the impossible. Shehem Chashvu, because those are three categories in logic, right? Is that any proposition is either necessary, 1 + 1 is 2, possible, Chizkiyahu is in the grocery store, okay, or impossible, 2 + 2 is 5. Okay, so all propositions fall into those categories. And then what did the Metukalimim do? Shehim Chashvu, they thought, Odimu, or imagined, Libnei Adam Shekol Hamistame Efshari. They thought that anything that you can imagine is possible. V'lo yadu shekol hazeh markiv inyanim nimnai hamatius. And they did not know that this faculty can combine matters that are impossible to exist, as we've explained. So why is this such a fundamental mistake? I mean, I know he's going to go into that, but just based on thinking about it on your own, why would this be such a disastrous mistake if you think that anything that the imagination can come up with is possible? There's not one correct answer, by the way. I'm just asking what you think. Yeah?
So what's the Rambam's framework from which he thinks they're mistaken?
He's not stating his framework right now. So I don't know what specifics, but I think we have enough knowledge just based on our knowledge of Torah that would give us an answer to this question. What would be wrong with someone who thought that anything that they can imagine is possible? You remember what I think? Oh, you got it?
He's going to say because you can imagine two gods.
Okay, I mean that's a particular case of it, which so you could say broadly speaking that this could lead you to embrace a lot of things as real which are not real. Okay, but I think there's like a fundamental mistake about the human being that you're going to end up making here, which is that the Torah holds that we only have one thing that can actually perceive emes and sheker, which is the mind. So once you make the imagination into a tool of perception for emes and sheker, so then you've opened up the path for I guess we were wrong.
Wow.
We were just using it as an example. Probably, yeah. Yeah, no, I guess the statement was right, but we ended up being wrong in the particular. Yeah. But anyway, so in other words, the Tzelem Elokim is what we have that can discern emes and sheker. So if you put the imagination into that and you treat it as a tool that can perceive emes and sheker, so then you are using the wrong tool, right? In other words, the imagination is a tool that is used to assist the pursuit of knowledge, but it can't itself perceive what is real or not real. Yeah.
You say it's a trivial, like where's the source for that?
Where's the source for that?
Yeah, it's not like just a mind, not the imagination.
I think the Rama probably gets it from his own knowledge, but if you ask him for where it says this in the Torah, he would point you to Bereshis 126 and 127, that man is created b'Tzelem Elokim, and as far as I know, and I used to have a document where I would collect all these, all the Rishonim that I know of say that Tzelem Elokim is the Seichel, but and then this is the Rambam's whole shita on Gan Eden and Eitzadas Tovara, as opposed to emes v'sheker. So where did the Rambam get it from? I don't know historically where the Rambam got it from. If he got it from his own interpretation of Torah, or if he thinks that there's a root in the Masorah, I'm not sure. Yeah. Okay. So those are our two premises. Okay. So now we can go into what the Rambam says about dreams. So in the Moreh Nevuchim, I could only find 2 volumes. I know we have more than 2 because we have more than 2 yellow ones. But wait. This is the wrong. Wait, no, this is the right volume. This has. Okay, yeah. So this is in 236. You could either grab it or look on the screen. Oh, you want the other translation?
Oh,
okay. Okay, yeah. I'll pause. Okay. Know that the true reality, and here we go, quiddity. What does yours say? 236. This would be XXXVI, yeah. What does yours say?
Prophecy is in truth and reality.
Oh, okay, all right, that's fine. All right, I'm just going to pause this and catch because go up. Okay, know that the true reality and quiddity, which means the isness or the essence of prophecy, consists in its being an overflowing from God, may be cherished and honored, through the intermediation of the active intellect, toward the rational faculty in the first place, and thereafter towards the imaginative faculty. Okay, so that's a nevuah in one sentence. Okay, right? So basically, and should I summarize it here? Yeah. Okay, actually, I think what we need to do is just have a summary of just a basic layman's understanding of how knowledge works according to the Rambam, or the relationship between the rational faculty, the imaginative faculty, and the senses. Okay, so the way that the Rambam holds it works, I believe, and I'm saying this based on my knowledge of Aristotle. I don't know if the Rambam has like nuances, where he holds that this is different. But basically, the way it works is your senses perceive something. Okay. Your imagination records the sense impressions and can then manipulate the images, so to speak. Okay, now let me summarize for Chizkiyahu. Okay, so I was just explaining that the basic way of how the Rambam holds, or how Aristotle held that knowledge works, is we'll use the example of the Arba Minim. Okay, this is like Ralbag's example. So let's say so I see, willow leaves and like myrtle leaves and palm fronds. Now, visually, they look very different. Okay, but what happens is I see them, my imagination records the sense impressions, and then I can manipulate them in my head. Okay, and so what happens is I can turn them to this way and that way, compare them with a bunch of other stuff that I have, think about where they are on the tree, and then I can realize, oh, there is a common definition that they all have, which they are all leaves. And even though they look very different and they're found in different things, they serve a common function, and that's my mind getting insight into them. So the direction that usually knowledge goes from senses to imagination to mind. Okay, but prophecy, he just said, is the opposite direction. He says, know that the true reality and quiddity of prophecy consists in its being an overflowing from God, may he be cherished and honored, through the intermediation of the active intellect, which is a malach, whatever we mean by malach, towards the rational faculty in the first place, and thereafter towards the imaginative faculty. So another analogy that's useful here is let's say I have a screen that I hook up to a camera, and I can point the camera at things and then show, what it's seeing. So that'd be like how the senses work, and it feeds into the monitor. Okay, but nevuah would be like you plug it into a computer, and it's getting stuff from there. It's not perceiving anything.
Creating models.
Yeah, right. Okay, so this is the highest degree of man and the ultimate term of perfection that can exist for his species. And this, you have a question? Or you just
No.
Okay, fine. This state is the ultimate term of perfection for the imaginative faculty. This is something that cannot by any means exist in every man. Okay, so not everyone can be a navi. Sorry to burst your bubble. Okay, and it is not something that may be attained solely through perfection in the speculative sciences and through improvement of moral habits, even if all of them have become as fine and good as can be. So in other words, like this, even if you got to perfection of intellect and perfection of imagination of mitos, then you still aren't necessarily guaranteed that you can be a navi. Why not? He says there's still needed, in addition, the highest possible degree of perfection of the imaginative faculty in respect of its original natural disposition. Okay, so the analogy would be like this. He'll say, hold on. Now you know that the perfection of the bodily faculties to which the imaginative faculty belongs is consequent upon the best possible temperament, the best possible size, and the purest possible matter on the part of the body that is the substratum for the faculty in question. It is not a thing whose lack could be made good or whose deficiency could be remedied in any way by means of a regimen. For with regard to a part of the body whose temperament was bad in the original natural disposition, the utmost that the corrective regimen can achieve is to keep it in some form of health, and cannot restore it to the best possible condition. If, however, its defect derives from its size, position, or substance, I mean the substance of the matter from which it is generated, there's no device that can help. You know all this, and it is therefore useless to explain it in length. So analogy, right? there are certain things that you can that you can achieve through a regimen, but there are certain things that are limitations of your genetics, right? So let's say you're born colorblind. No amount of like art appreciation is going to make you able to perceive that color, and so same thing with the imagination is you could be perfected in your intellect and your midos, but there's a certain physical perfection in your brain that is needed for prophecy. And an example I give mostly to like to really abuse people like Isaac Lichter and Johnny, that people who have aphantasia, who can't perceive images in their mind, the Rambam would hold that they cannot become Nevi'im. Because the Rambam's theory, at least, is nevuah occurs through images. So if you can't have images in your mind, if that's just the way your brain is wired, you can't become a Navi. Yeah.
Right. So this is saying, that if you have at least a certain starting point of that faculty, that it can be trained. Because it seems like respect. It says a little earlier. If you go up, best possible temper. There was still in need. There still is needed. Is still needed in addition to the highest possible degree of perfection of the imaginative faculty in respect of its original natural disposition, meaning it seems like it's starting off from a natural place and then
it does sound like that, yeah. So it does sound like that. This is where we need to check other translations.
And I can see that that's not saying that therefore anyone can train it, because you still need to have a certain, I guess, natural talent first, and then you
right.
hone.
So the only question I have is whether the Rambam does hold that the imaginative faculty can be improved or not. Like, for example, my guess is that the Rambam holds that like that eyesight cannot be improved, right? Like you have you're born with certain eyes and you can't improve it. I don't know if he holds that about the imaginative faculty. Hold on a second here.
My eyesight improved.
Yeah, I mean, I think we hold that you can do certain things to do that, but I just don't think the Rambam holds that. But I don't know. The question is this line, where it says, now no. There's still needed in addition. So this is not something that may be attained solely through the perfection in the speculative sciences and through improvement in the moral habits, even if all of them have become as fine and good as can be. There still is needed in addition the highest possible degree of perfection of the imaginative faculty in respect of its original natural disposition. So Chizkiyahu is inferring from there that you need a certain like level of potential in your baseline, right? But that could be developed, and I'm not sure if he means that or if he means that like your imagination is fixed.
Your imagination that point is that it's also possible that you don't have the ability to train the level required to have.
Right. But the question is, can you improve it at all, or is it set?
It seems to me
I
like
don't think I don't know why you think one way or another. I mean,
well, I don't know what there would be a school for if there was no chance of.
No. So the school for it was to get the intellectual and ethical perfection. Yeah. I mean, at the very least, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but let me just.
Saying that you have a certain level of perfection based on the perception, but based on the things you said before the analogy.
Yeah. Oh wait, hold on just a second here.
Also,
actually, the way the street writer had it doesn't sound like the thing.
Yeah, what does it say?
The proceedings is rather was good and perfect and possible referring to the moral faculties and his mental faculties. They would need to know that unless it was combined with the highest natural excellence of the imagination.
Natural excellence of the imagination, right. So that does sound like it is. Right. Let me look at. By the way, for those who don't know, our friend Rav Makbili published his own translation of Moreh Nevuchim, which two of the volumes are available on All Torah. Not the third one yet. I don't know if that means because he hasn't finished it yet, or let's see. Let's see how he translates it first. Shai hashlemus afshari shel hakoach hamadamim meikar hateva hamolad, from the natural root disposition. Okay, that's equally ambiguous. And then Kafech has it. Oops, where did I go? Kafech. By the way, when we were talking about Tosfos cheating, the cheating Tosfos yesterday, I wanted to show you a tool which I I sent in the WhatsApp before, but I don't think you would have seen it. And there's a community WhatsApp. This is a good tool. I use this when I'm reading modern Hebrew, like newspapers or articles. Noctam, have you seen this? It's an AI Nikudos maker. So you just copy and you paste it, and it puts in all the Nikudos for you.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it makes it easier. Yeah. Yeah, I found it to be pretty accurate. I mean, it's what do you call it? Obviously in rabbinic Hebrew, where they're throwing in like outdated forms of conjugations or like Aramaic, then you have to like ignore that. But like, matzazeh hu si shleimus hakoach hamadame zekvar shum ofen eno efshari b'chol adam. So I find when I'm reading like modern Hebrew, I'm just not used to modern Hebrew words, so I don't always know how to like say it, and this makes it much easier.
Cool.
Yeah, so it's pretty good. Yeah.
Just a question. So if the school was to develop your other two faculties, why isn't just regular learning at a yeshiva already suitable for that? The way I always view these nevuah schools is that it is like it's like a Professor Xavier's school for gifted gifted children. Like in other words, like it's people who are already at a very high level and would need like a certain type of additional training. Like you're going to need certain knowledge in metaphysics that you can't really get anywhere else. And certain, according to especially Avram ben Rambam, but even according to the Rambam, certain like perhaps like meditative practices, of like focusing your mind exclusively on kisei hakavod, and stuff like that. Yeah. All right.
So Kafek says nispa hu letuv hamezig shi loso ever hanose okok letuv shir. No, wait, that's not the part. Kum tachlis okok she start the ikri hayitzira batachlis havsharos. Ikri yitzira batachlis havsharis. Yeah, these seem ambiguous. I don't really know. Yeah. Yeah, he refers us to Plato. Kafka refers us to Plato. Okay, whatever. All right, I don't think it's going to matter for our purposes. Both of them make sense to me. I don't know enough about how he views the imagination. Yeah, I don't know. Okay, so now we get to dreams. Okay. And and this is the main paragraph we're going to focus on. And by the way, our goal is not to finish the parak, because he's going to go into nevuah after this, and we just want the dream stuff. Too, the actions of the imaginative faculty that are in its nature, such as retaining things perceived by the senses, combining these things, and imitating them. And that its greatest and noblest action takes place only when the senses rest and do not perform their actions. Okay, so that's dreams. Okay, when you dream, what is happening? Your senses shut off, and it's only your imagination that is active. Okay, I don't know why he calls that the greatest and noblest action. The greatest and noblest action is going to be nevuah, but he's saying that like senses being off have to be is a prerequisite for that. Why? Because it is then that a certain overflows to this faculty according to its disposition, and it is the cause of veridical dreams. Veridical meaning true dreams. Yeah, fine.
I think this is something that makes more sense. This has a highest and highest function. I
think I have your translation here. Let me just put it on the screen. Part of the functions of the imaginative faculty is, as you well know, to retain impressions by the senses, to combine them, and chiefly to form images. The principal and highest function is performed when the senses are at rest and pause in their action.
No, what do you mean by like that? Like you're saying that they're at their best when everything else is lost.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, interesting raya for this is when you're trying to imagine something, closing your eyes helps you to imagine it, because if you don't, then you're going to be taking in new sensory data.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I was going to say. It's noble to me, like a noble gas or something. I don't know, something like.
Like pure, unadulterated pure,
right.
Not like perfected pure.
Right.
Yeah.
You could say that it's perfected in the sense that it's not. It's because it's pure, so that it's only getting exactly what it is without the influence or the interruption of other things.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Good. So just to state this in plainer English, is that when your senses are not functioning. So the two cases we know of are when you're asleep or when you're getting nevuah, right? So you're not getting anything from outside, right, feeding into the imagination. Everything is coming from inside. Okay. But he says this is the cause of veridical dreams, of true dreams, which I don't know what the Rambam sheet is on true dreams. Okay, true dreams are not synonymous with prophecy, by the way, right? I think most what the dreams that like accurately like predict the future or something like that. Yeah,
like the dream that tells you where money was hidden.
Yeah, like the dream that tells you where money was hidden. Yeah, right. So like that can happen. I don't know what the Rambam's theory is on veridical dreams, and this is where I really wish I had access to an English searchable database of the Rambam's medical writings, because I don't know if we would find this stuff in we'll find some of the Moreh book maybe, but I'm sure you read about it there. Okay, this same overflow is the cause of the prophecy. Now, here's where he starts getting to the cool point, okay? Or, everything's cool, but like the point that we were looking for, there is only a difference in degree, not in kind. You know that the sages have said time and again, a dream is the 60th part of prophecy. Okay, so that's the thing that people quote. And what I think I don't know about people, but I know high school students who I've taught think that means that you have your dream and there's a 60th of prophecy in there somewhere. It's or it's part prophecy. It's a little prophecy, right? Okay. So the Rambam knocks that down. He says, no proportion, however, can be established between two things differing in their species. In other words, you wouldn't be able to say it's a 60th part of prophecy if dreams and prophecy are of a completely different nature from each other. One is not allowed to say, for instance, that the perfection of a man is a certain number of times greater than the perfection of a horse, unless you're talking about a centaur. Okay, they reiterated this point in Bereshis Rabbah, saying, dream is the unripe fruit of prophecy, the novellus. This is an extraordinary comparison, or when we say a novel comparison.
Apples and oranges.
Yeah, which I always think that phrase is not the best phrase, because apples and oranges are the same species, are the same genus, they're fruit. But this would be like comparing apples and apples and concepts, apples and justice. Yeah. Okay, they reiterated this point in Bereshis Rabbah, saying a dream is the unripe fruit of prophecy. This is an extraordinary comparison. Now, this is my favorite part. For unripe fruit is the individual fruit itself, but one that has fallen before it was perfect and before it had matured. Similarly, the action of the imaginative faculty in the state of sleep is also its action in the state of prophecy. There is, however, a deficiency in it, and it does not reach its ultimate term. So a beautiful interpretation of that Chazal. He's saying prophecy and dreams work through the imaginative faculty. A dream is the unripe fruit of prophecy, which means that if it were to continue to develop, it would reach prophecy, right? Meaning if the imaginative faculty were to be to develop and to be operating in a state where there's no external stimulus, that would be prophecy, okay? And that's exactly what prophecy is. And that's why, again, why prophets have to go into a trance, or they have to get nevuah while they're asleep, because all the other things have to be turned off. And because their imaginative faculty is so perfected, then it merges with the active intellect, and then they get the prophecy.
So I thought that's how we got the veridical dreams.
He's saying that veridical dreams somehow operate through a similar mechanism, but veridical dreams would not be like God delivering specific content to you. I don't even know how he holds nevuah works, to be honest. But
he's saying they're different.
I do believe the thing he's saying that they're different.
And what were the mechanism? Because I'm not seeing any. Maybe I missed where the mechanism is a little different.
Is he? Hold on. Chalomos ha'emes. Dreams that are true. I don't. Who atzmos sibos hanevuah? It's the same mechanism as nevuah, but they are not the same as nevuah, though. And you're asking what the difference is, right? Yeah, I don't.
Tivis is a mechanism, or manner, or what is tivis?
Where does it say tivis?
Who atzmo tivis?
Oh, sibas.
Oh,
yeah, yeah, cause, yeah.
I guess would be the difference between say the LSATs and spelling quiz in first grade.
Yes. Yeah. So,
saying that.
What was that?
I heard that. This is what I'm saying, essentially, that the dreams are a fault, but in that from the prophecy.
Dreams are
a prophecy that didn't develop into a prophecy.
No, I don't think he's saying that. I think he's saying that dreams are the activity of an undeveloped imaginative faculty, and when the imaginative faculty develops fully, then it would produce nevuah instead of dreams. Not that a dream is a yeah. Chazal are saying that a dream is an undeveloped prophecy, but the Rambam is interpreting it that similarly, the action of the imaginative faculty in the state of sleep is also its action in the state of prophecy. There is, however, a deficiency in it, and it does not reach its ultimate term.
Of the
vertical dreams or of prophecy.
What's their deficiency?
He's not. Oh, you know what? I'm so okay. Of course, you could develop your imagination. That's what he's saying here. Our original question. Of course, you could develop your imagination because that's what he's saying. He's saying that
so.
you haven't perfected your imagination sufficiently.
Okay.
Joseph.
We're saying that it takes both intelligence to do the first grade spelling quiz and the LSATs, but it takes a lot more to do the LSATs and the first grade spelling quiz. So it doesn't take too much smarts to get a true dream, but you have to be much smarter.
Yeah, if that helps you, then yeah, and I think that is a good point. Is that I can't speak for the Rambam. I know the Rambam holds that you don't need perfection in order to get a dream that happens to be true. Like that just is a quality of dreams that you can get true dreams sometimes.
Right.
You know,
it's happened to me. Like,
yeah,
random.
Yeah,
I didn't call it prophecy. I just was
right.
Oh, that's weird.
Okay, so he says, and truthfully, maybe we do need to go and figure out what the Rambam means by vertical dreams in order to get our Nidui thing. I don't know, but okay, let's just finish this paragraph.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. Why should we teach you by means of the dicta of the sages, may their memory be blessed, and leave aside the text of the Torah? It says, if there shall be a prophet among you, I, the Lord, do make myself known unto him in a vision. I do speak with him in a dream. Right. So in other words, when describing other Nevi'im, when Hashem's telling Miriam and Aaron about prophets, he says, I speak with him in a dream. Right. So why we don't need Chazal to prove it. The Torah says it. Thus, he may he be exalted has informed us of the true reality and quiddity of prophecy, and has let us know that it is a perfection that comes in a dream or in a vision, a Moreh. The word Moreh derives from the verb ra'ah, to see. This signifies that the imaginative faculty achieves so great a perfection of action that it sees the thing as if it were outside, and that the thing whose origin is due to it appears to have come to it by way of the external sensation. In these two groups, I mean vision and dream, all the degrees of prophecy are included, as shall be explained. It is known that a matter that here's what we were talking about for a Nidui thing. It is known that a matter that occupies a man greatly, he being bent upon it and desires of it while he is awake and while his senses function, is the one with regard to which the imaginative faculty acts when he's asleep, when receiving an overflow of the intellect corresponding to its disposition. So in other words, if you're occupied with something during the day, there's a good chance you'll dream about it at night. Okay. It would be superfluous to quote examples of this and to expatiate on it, as this is a manifest matter that everyone knows. It is similar to the apprehension of the senses, with regard to which no one whose natural disposition is healthy disagrees. So in other words, just like if you saw something during the day, we all know that you can have dreams about it. So too, if you're concentrating on a thing during the day, then you can have a dream about it. And he's going to go on to explain how part of what Nevi'im do when they ready themselves for nevuah is occupying their mind solely with metaphysics. So that when they fall asleep or go into a trance, then that's like the matter that their intellect has to work on. Okay. Beyond that, there's a lot of stuff in this chapter, but we want to see if this helped us with the Nidui thing. Okay. So I mentioned before you were here, I'm going to give an intentionally bad sevara. Okay. To demonstrate its badness, about what the Rama means, how the Rama holds that a Nidui in a dream can work. Okay, so I'm going to use an analogy from a good svara. Okay, so the analogy is let's use our good Mishnah Torah.
You're going to use that analogy for your bad svara?
Yeah. So because it's what inspired it. So if you look in Hilchos Brachos, Perek Aleph, halacha Vav. Okay. So the Rambam has a sheet in, halacha Zayin. The Rambam, not everyone holds like what the Rambam is going to say here. So he says like this, Kol ha-brachos kulan, tzarich sheyashmi'a la'ozno mashu omer. So all brachos, you need to recite in an audible way. You need to hear what you're saying. Okay, or you need to recite it in a way where you can hear it. The in lo hishmiya yatsa. If you did not make it audible, then you're still yotze. So classic case, you're on an airplane. Okay, and you hear the loud noise. So you really should say the bracha where you could hear yourself. Yeah, but if Allahu Akbar, but if you said it and you didn't hear yourself, you're still yotze. Okay, and here's the key phrase: Bein shehotzi bisfasav. Whether you expressed it with your verbally, bein shebirach belibo, or whether you blessed in your heart. Okay. So what do you see from here? The essential Maisa Bracha is?
The intention?
Yeah, it's a Maisa, I would say it's a cognitive Maisa. It's a Maisa of thinking, right? So in contrast, for example, to Kriya Shema, you actually have to say, and if you didn't say it at all, if you just thought the Shema, you're not doing the Maisa of Kriya Shema at all.
You have to be able to hear yourself also?
You also have to be able to hear yourself, yeah.
What if you're in the plane for so many hours?
Oh, actually, I don't know how we possibly have Kriya Shema, but you definitely have to say it, though.
You have to say it. You for sure have to say it.
You should for sure have to say it, yeah. Okay, but with brachos, it's not a Maisa Dibur. I think people think of brachos as a Maisa Dibur, but you see from the fact that the Rambam says, if you said it and didn't hear it, or even if you didn't say it, like let's say, hypothetically, if one of the Talmidei HaYeshiva is getting their wisdom teeth out on Friday, right, and can't talk, right? This is, I think, the one time that I davened a Shmona Esrei entirely in my mind was when I got my 4 wisdom teeth out, you know.
Are you saying hypothetically is a joke? That's happening.
No, I know that's I know it's happening. Yeah,
yeah. Like, man, how crazy would
it be? yeah. So you see that brachos are essentially a cognitive activity. Okay, so that's true. Okay, I think that you can't argue that. Okay, now here's the bad svara. Bad svara is like this. What if you see from this case of chalom in a dream that the act of putting someone in nidui is an act of the imagination, essentially? Okay, in other words, yeah, I know it's a bad svara. It's a bad svara. Okay, but let me flesh it out and then explain why it's a bad svara, right? Because our question was, we were working with the premise that the only way to put someone in nidui is you say so and so is in nidui. And our question was, how can it be that when you dream, that the contents of a dream can actually like produce a real nidui, right? And when we said it seems from the Rambam that a dream nidui does produce a real nidui, not like the Aruch HaShulchan, who says that it just requires you to do hataras nidui, right? Rambam indicates that this is a real nidui, right? So a person might be tempted to say, yeah.
And does that mean that the material laws are different? Or
No, the material laws are still different, but what it would mean is that you have to be noheg your nidui, like you have to actually like, you know, act like it, and other people have to treat you, sit 4 amos away, all that other stuff, right? So you might be tempted to say that that the only way it could possibly work that dreams can put you in nidui is if putting someone in nidui is an act of the imagination. And that when you put someone in nidui verbally, the thing that actually is doing it is a verbalization of an act of the imagination. And therefore, an act of the imagination that you have at night could put you in nidui.
Sorry, one more time.
That just as brachos are not essentially an act of speech, they're really a cognitive act.
Okay, this is brachos are really a brach because of what we said about even if you can't hear. Right?
Yeah. So too, even though the normal way you put someone in nidui is through speech, you might say, you could see from here that the only thing putting you in nidui is an act of the imagination. So you see from here, putting people in nidui is essentially an act of the imagination. And when I put you in nidui through speech, it's really just like articulating my imagination, you know?
And that you're saying that therefore, even if I didn't say it, regardless of the dream, I just wanted to put you in nidui, you would really already be in nidui. If it was an act
no, so you could still say that Chazal require you to do, when you're putting someone else in nidui, right, that they require it to be an actual dibur, because for whatever reason, like you could see, for example, like, you know, I can't like just go around going like this in my head, like nidui, you know, like for it to be a nidui for anyone else, it would have to be a verbalization, you know. Yeah. But in this case, where it's happening, like, you know, when you're asleep, you're not verbalizing it, you know, you're just doing it in nidui. So essentially, the move that the svara is making, so to speak, is that you are. Our problem was
when you dream about yourself being in nidui,
yeah,
that because it was just imagination, that's enough to put you
right. And the move that this is making is saying that, like, you know, our problem was, how does dreaming reach the bar of where Klavas is Ma'aseh Nidui, and we're lowering the bar, saying that all Ma'aseh Niduis are just imagination.
I thought we did say that when it's your own dream, it's just a dream. That you're in the nidui, that you are, that already puts you in. And then we had a question of, or is it that the based in like then announced?
Yeah, right. But we didn't explain how it works. We explained, you know, like
so this bad far is trying to say that it works based off of the imagination.
Based on the imagination,
which is kind of how by default I did take it, because I don't know how else, because I can't think of any other way.
Right. Yeah.
It's not.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I'm saying that the only way to say this, because in other words, like this, to me, it doesn't make sense to say there is a regular ma'aseh nidui of a speech. And then for this one case, there's a different kind of ma'aseh nidui. I'm saying that no, this bad sevara is saying that it's one ma'aseh nidui across the board. It's just you have an additional requirement when you're doing it in society for another person. It's like, yeah, it's a practical requirement or a formalized requirement, just like there's certain words that you can use for the nidui. Right. Yeah. Yeah. Now, what makes this a bad sevara in your opinion? I think it's a bad sevara, but what makes it a bad sevara? Yeah, I know, right? It feels bad.
It doesn't.
My imagination doesn't want it.
Yeah. I mean, I think the reason why, yeah, you want to say?
When you're Nidui al-Tanai, do you need to say that's nine? I'm trying to find whys for this. When you say Nidui,
yeah.
Well, when you do Nidui al-Tanai, do you need to say this nine when you do it?
Nidui al-Tanai, filu mipi atzmo, char chafara, talmid chacham, al-pitanai, kagon she'amar, im lo yered machar geshem, hari ani menuda. And that's from Shiloh's Chuvos of the Rambam. Sounds like it. Yeah. We should look at this Shiloh's Chuvos. Kufnun tes reish samach daled. Hafara is release. Yeah. What ride did you want to bring?
I was going to say that if you don't need to say this nine.
Oh, right. Then that's part of the nidui. It's just in your mind. Okay, that's a good raya search.
Why would you assume that?
I was sort of misreading the Hafara.
Well, I mean, in what do you call? You don't always need to articulate Tanaim for things, right? It's not like a requirement. Say again.
What's an example when you have to articulate something but not if it's out tonight? You don't have to think tonight.
I mean,
I don't have any.
yeah, we have to say something but not tonight. Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
sure. It's really question. It's just reading it, reading this right against it because Nidui al-Tanai, even if you, or the very least, my thing is a culture which maybe is not binding the slaves, but saying that even if you don't do tonight, you need Hafara, which means it's tonight don't matter. Although I realize I'm basing it off of like a in brackets column, which is not part of the Rambam.
Oh, hold on. I don't even know if this is the same numbering. I just want to see if this is. No, this does not look like the thing. All right, okay, fine.
That's far to say that
in
reality, all niduis are really already through imagination.
Yeah, so I think it's a bad sevara, and I can't prove that it's a bad sevara, but I think it's a bad sevara because it feels extremely forced that you're basically saying that in other words, this is the weird case, right?
Yeah.
And we've already seen that there's so many things different about this case. And the direction that the Aruch HaShulchan took it is saying, yeah, the reason why this is different, when faced with a contradiction between the whole system of nidui and this one case, the Aruch HaShulchan says, yeah, it's because this thing is not really nidui. It's just so much more of a chiddush to say, from this weird case, we say, this is the real nidui, and we're going to change everything else about the way that we view everything else. Descriptively, I think that's why it's like, a bad svara. Now, the thing that makes it sneaky is when you have real svaras or real scientific theories, it will look like you're doing this because what will happen is there will be a little anomaly. And then from that anomaly, then you'll see like it'll reveal like an entire underpinnings of everything else. Like when we did the Sfiras Omer thing, right? That there were these weird anomalies about the bracha on Sfiras Omer, and the Rav, gave a svara that like the what do you say that the sfira is part of an act of like shavach, so like I do. That's why I'm saying like I can't prove that this is a bad svara because ultimately it's going to rest on intuition. But I feel like the intuition here is basically my intuition telling me that this is like forcing something that doesn't need to be forced and is trying to like cram everything else into this like one weird case. Yeah, it's just it's an artificial thing to say that when I am putting someone in nidui, I'm really doing an act of imagining and then just verbalizing my imagination. Like it just does not ring true, And I think it's tempting.
Well, it rings true in the sense that everything, I guess, starts in. Like I don't know what they mean by imagination now. Like once they say that, it makes me think of like, do you mean everything starts in your mind? No. I'm saying Davka Rambam's definition of imagination, which is why we started the faculty that records sense impressions and then puts them together in different ways. And in a valid way.
No.
Not
You
even
could put that
valid.
valid, invalid.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah,
fine, fine.
yeah.
Yeah.
Joseph.
Also, one thing, it also seems to be saying that the harding thing about the noise that, or at least there's something about us coming from someone else that he. I look over there is referring to the Nidui as coming from someone else in the dream.
Yeah, but I think the Rambam would be comfortable saying that is still your own imaginative faculty, even though it's from someone else in a dream. Yeah.
And I think you're saying this, but if it is from any imagination source, valid or not,
Yeah.
which makes sense that you would say that that's why the Shulchan says like don't take it like
I mean
act
the
like
Aruch Shulchan.
That it's almost like it's not so serious, but you gotta
Right.
act on it.
Yeah.
But then to say that the basis of all the other ones that are more serious
Yeah.
is something that could potentially not be
Yeah.
from the sources not that serious. That
Yeah, it's a little sketchy also. Yeah, that's true.
Well, I mean, there's no point it has, but I'm not any other reason at all.
Yeah. I was going to say, I did find, by the way, although I did not finish reading, I found Shilos Uchuvos about a case where if Reuven dreams that he puts Shimon in Nidui, then does Shimon need a Taras Nadarim? No, not in the Rambam. This is it was
so many people.
Rav Menashe Klein, otherwise known as the Ungvar Rav, and then he goes through also. I'm not going to read this. Also goes through whether you need to tell Shimon about it, or can Reuven just like get 10 people on like Bimatir the thing. So he actually takes it up. It was just too long for me to retain my interest through. Yeah, but this was the case that we were talking about, right? Of and the fact that he was asked that question. In the way that he formulates the answer, he says like he seems to indicate that of course the normal case is where it's all in your own dream, So I think that's just support for that. Okay, so I think plan will be. Look, if I ever find anything else on this, then I would be happy to share it. And I gotta.
It's a really interesting subject.
It really is, yeah. And I kept on meaning all this week to email Rabbi Zucker to ask him about it if he's ever done anything on it. But I'll try to do that.
Questions, or do we have a few more answers now?
We don't have answers for the Rambam. I think yesterday that I feel comfortable having that we got an approach according to other Rishonim, that especially the Aruch Shulchan who says that this is not a real nidui, just to get you to do tshuva or to get you to like, or if you do hold that dreams can be like that, maybe this is God sending you a nevuah, you have to take care of that because it's such a severe thing.
Right.
But I just don't know what to make of it from the Rambam. So the plan for tomorrow is there are a couple more halachos about how to treat niduim, and then the very last thing is about Talmid Chachamim and revenge. Okay, that probably we won't get to until next week. But isn't that what? No, but we did do these halachos when we did revenge last year. So we're going to come back to it again. Lineder, was it?
Almost exactly a year ago.
Yeah, almost exactly a year ago. And because we finished Deos in that time. But tomorrow I think we'll do these other two halachos. That'll be the plan at least. Okay. Have a good day.
Would it be really nice to go sometime?